What would happen if we took all of those and we actually started to stack them? Hey everybody, welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello. Today, we're going to be talking about how everything stacks. And specifically, we'll talk about the example of a brick. And if you think about a brick, when you're probably thinking about a brick as a single brick, you don't think of very much, right? Maybe you think of the Home Alone kid throwing the brick at the burglar or whatever. I don't know if he dropped it on his head or whatever, but I'll see if I can flash a picture up in case you're a Home Alone fan. And a brick by itself is pretty small, relatively insignificant. I mean, it can do some damage, right? You've heard of the stories of people getting arrested for like kids throwing bricks off of a bridge and literally like can kill someone or cause an accident. So a brick can actually do quite a bit. But if you're just looking at the brick on the floor, you most likely can step around it, go over it. Maybe you can even like kick it to the side without really hurting your foot. And by itself, it doesn't look like a lot. But what happens as you stack bricks? You can start to build a wall. You can start to build shelter and safety. And soon enough, if you do that and you stack those bricks and you put them all together with the proper supplies, you can't just kick through that. You can't really step over it. You can't, I mean, I guess you could go around it unless it was a very big thing. But if it were an actual building, you wouldn't be able to go inside because there would be doors and security and those types of things. But the point here is that once you start to stack the bricks, it starts to create something more meaningful and more noticeable. And if you ever try to punch a wall when you're frustrated as a teenager, spoiler alert, or actually pro tip, don't do that. It hurts. You know, when you'd see people punch a wall and their knuckles would be a little bit bloody and they'd feel cool, but it was their way of getting anger out, and really their hands really hurt and they could have probably like broken their hand. Not fun to do, but if you've ever done it before, you know what I'm talking about, where you don't really want to punch a brick wall because it's not going to go very well for you. You know, brick wall, 1, human, 0, if you see the scorecard that I'm talking about. But something I always say, if you've been a listener for some time, you hopefully have this drilled into your head, but consistency over time yields eventual success. That's the formula, right? Luck equals preparation plus opportunity. Or luck is when preparation meets opportunity. You may have heard all these different things. So what would happen instead of stepping over all those bricks in your life, opportunities, clients that maybe you don't want to work with, that you're being a little too picky to take on, challenges, things like that. Let's consider those the single bricks in our lives. What would happen if we took all of those and we actually started to stack them? What I'm saying here is that we often overlook opportunities. We get a little bit picky. I'm guilty of this too. I like to teach you something, but I also have the self-awareness to recognize in myself that I don't always have this figured out. But I often think that I'm kind of above certain things, like, oh man, I have a college degree and I hit 6 figures in real estate. Like, why am I wasting my time on this small, low-level task? I'm just going to get rid of this. I don't want to do this. I'm not even going to do it, right? I'm going to avoid it. But we can't let our pride of wanting to be successful immediately stop us from taking the necessary steps, which may mean doing things that we may not want to do. There was someone in a business group that I'm in on Facebook who was commenting about how they're struggling and they're living out of their car and they can't get work. Like, it was just, dang, okay, this guy's really struggling apparently. And my business coach was actually a member in this group, and he commented on that post saying, you know, don't let pride stop you from doing what you need to do in the pursuit of being an entrepreneur. You may have to actually take a job, right? Like, it's okay to do that if you have to and you're struggling and you can't pay your bills. That may be the best next step. And my business coach, actually, I think that he had commented, I was trying to find it before I recorded this video, but I believe he had commented when I had seen that post that he had worked 3 jobs at the same time while building his business, or to put himself through college, one of those two. And he was not above that. He was waiting tables and something else while going to school to be an engineer, right? So most people would say, I'm above that. I've done that. I've been a waiter at a Buffalo Wild Wings before. It was pretty miserable, at least my experience personally, cleaning up and doing things until 2 a.m. for very nominal pay, but it was an experience, right? I've also pushed carts at a grocery store, HEB in Texas. I was pushing grocery carts and bagging groceries and doing all those things. And it's funny because part of me, when I go to like a Kroger type place, or King Super in Denver, they call it, I think it's owned by the same type of company. A lot of times they won't have a bagger, I guess, just with like overhead. People are on the cash register and they're ringing up your items, and you kind of have to bag it yourself sometimes if someone's not already there. And it takes me back to when I was 16 or 17 and I was just bagging groceries and doing those things. And part of me is just reminded of, I have been here before. I was getting paid $6.35 to do this for 6-hour shifts. It was not very fun. And while I'm not saying I would go back to that now, because with what I know I could bring more value to the world, it still serves as a reminder that, hey, whoever is there bagging the groceries, it's not like we're above them or anything like that. They're there working hard, earning a living type thing too, but it's just a step on the path. We're all at different places. But I guess the main point of what my business coach was trying to say to that other guy is, hey, if you got to work in a restaurant or take up a job like to pay your bills and stop living out of your car, do that. Stop holding on to the entrepreneurship thing so hard that when you're not able to make ends meet, you're not willing to actually kind of cave in and get the job that you need to support yourself. There's a Jeff Bezos quote on my vision board that I've talked about before. And I have this quote that he apparently said, I'm not sure if he said it or not, but I think I found it online and it sounded cool. So it's on my board, but it says, be stubborn on vision, but flexible on details. Again, be stubborn on vision, but flexible on details. So how I interpret this is that it's okay to change how exactly you get there, but you just have to make sure to tune into the vision. Like wherever your vision is, stay focused on that, and how exactly you get there may change. And if you know where you're headed, this is going to be a lot easier. If you have no idea where you're going, then obviously you're going to be clueless as to where to go. But let's say you maybe see a landmark like a Mount Fuji in Japan. I just see memories of when I was there 5 years ago. Really cool trip. I love Japan. But Mount Fuji is pretty recognizable and it's massive. You can just see it off in the distance as you're approaching. It's like maybe an hour or two, you can kind of see it from far, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But if you see something like that, you can see it off in the distance. So you don't really need to know how exactly to get there, because you know you can keep going that way to get there. But there's a million little ways that you can take to get there. Maybe there's a bench that you sit on for a little bit, and then you ride a bike a little bit, and then you get tired and you realize like, oh man, I'm never going to make progress. So if it's still too far away, maybe you can hitch a ride with somebody. And where I'm going with this is that maybe that ride is like a mentor who helps you speed things up and get you there faster. There's a path over here. There's a book that gives you a shortcut that you wouldn't have found otherwise. These are the things in life that we often overlook, or we're just too scattered to really pay attention to. So my takeaway here, or my question for you in this episode is, what are the little things in your life that you've been forgetting about or stepping over, or maybe that you even feel like you're too good to do right now? What are those things? Because every little thing matters, and how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? And what you do when nobody is watching, that matters too. So as you continue to stack these invisible bricks that we're talking about in your life, getting those workouts in, reading those books when you're maybe like, oh man, I'm tired of reading, but I know I need to, keep on doing it, keep showing up, stay consistent. And as you stack these invisible bricks, you're going to start to build a fortress around you, this amazing palace type thing where your goals and your vision, everything becomes manifested, and you'll create something amazing that you never thought possible if you just pick up that first brick and continue to lay brick by brick, one at a time. And remember that quote, be stubborn on vision, but flexible on details. So in the comments below, if you're watching this on YouTube, let me know what you're going to do today based on this information. What are those things that you've been avoiding, the bricks that you've been stepping over? How are you going to take action and actually implement this message in your life today? I'd love to hear it. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you have not already. I thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to having you here again on the next video. Talk soon.